Hey, and welcome to part two of the Pinterest for Business teaching series. I'm Marissa Wood, and this is Getting Found in Search. Let's get started. So, in the first module, we talked a little bit about SEO, and to refresh your memory, that's search engine optimization. And so, getting found in search really is all about SEO, and that's what we're going to be getting into more in depth here. I touched on it in the first part, and I said we would come back to it. We're back to it. So first, Pinterest has its own native search bar, and whenever anything has a native search bar, that means it runs on SEO algorithms, which means that it's using keywords that people use to search to pull up results that person that's searching for that keyword term would be interested in. Uses different algorithms to find the most relevant content for those keyword phrases. Pinterest does integrate with Google searches. So typically, if you go to Google and you type in something that not like a how-to or a big phrase of information, but typically more like if you're looking for something that's tangible, not an abstract idea, then you will often see that Pinterest boards do turn up in Google searches as some of the first results on Google. And the difference between Google and Pinterest, obviously, is that Pinterest is a visual search engine and you can see your results right away, whereas this, you'd have to click through multiple links to get results, which consequently is a big reason why Pinterest is becoming so popular. Okay, we're going to be talking all about SEO. Recap, let's talk about those SEO checkpoints that we talked about in the first section. So there's your biography, your board titles, your board descriptions, board categories, and original pin descriptions. All of those places are, or all those spots are places where you can input information that is going to help boost your SEO and help optimize you for search. So I mentioned keyword phrases already, and I would be remiss if I didn't sort of start at the basics, because anybody that hasn't worked with SEO before, this is going to probably be all new information for you. If you know a little bit about, if you have like a website or you know a little bit about getting found on Google, this might be, more of a recap for you, but I'm going to make sure we're covering everybody here. So what's a keyword phrase? A keyword phrase is essentially just a combination of two or more words that are used by consumers when searching for something online. You might also hear the word long tail keyword. And a long tail keyword just means it has more than one word. So for instance, you might say you have a pin that has the words unique vintage hand-painted nightstand in the description or somewhere. And because that is two or more words, it's considered a long tail keyword. Long tail keywords extend your reach in search results because they include multiple other keywords within itself. So a search for unique vintage hand-painted nightstands, it would also, or that object that's tagged with that keyword, that pin would also turn up in searches for unique nightstand, vintage nightstand, hand-painted nightstand, and any combination of those words together. So by using more than one word, you're increasing the number of combinations that your pin or your board or whatever can be found under. How do we find these good keyword phrases? Well, if you have a standalone website or if you've worked with SEO at all, you might have heard of Google AdWords. And it has a keyword planner and within it that helps you find popular keywords, what people are looking for around the web on Google. We don't need to get that fancy. We just need to use the Pinterest search bar. So it's really, really easy. All you have to do is start typing a word and you can see what pops up as a suggested search. Or you can input a single word or a two-word phrase, actually click search or hit enter, and filter down using Pinterest suggested keywords. So some examples. We're going to walk through this. By the end, you guys should really have a good grasp of, how to find and come up with keyword phrases for your SEO checkpoints. So if I type the word furniture, just starting with furniture, into the search bar, but I don't hit enter. I just start typing it. These are the suggested search phrases that pop up. And I say today on this slide because these are the most common searches right now. Maybe next year or in 6 months or whatever, these might change depending on trends and things like that. So right now what's popping up is furniture makeover, furniture DIY, furniture ideas, furniture makeover DIY. Those type of searches are very commonly, or phrases are very commonly searched for right now. If I type in the word furniture and hit search, remember I didn't hit enter the first time, I just let it pop up with some suggested phrases. If I actually hit search after just typing in the word furniture, you'll see filters along the top, and there's a whole bunch of them. You can scroll to the side with this little arrow back and forth and see additional words or additional keywords that you can add into that phrase to refine your search. So some of those that may be suggested are like makeover, DIY, living room, palette, distressed, and on and on and on. If I click on one of those filters, it'll add it to my search. So if I clicked on arrangement, or retyped your search to be furniture arrangement, you would then get additional filters based on that. And you can filter down and down and down as far as you want until it doesn't give you any more filter suggestions anymore. So for furniture arrangement, some of the other filter or search keyword suggestions would be like open floor, apartment, fireplace. So you can see how these would help you hone in on certain things that people are looking for. So people might be looking at how to lay out their furniture in a living room when they have a fireplace. But instead of typing that into a Google search, because you're going to get a ton of links and maybe some blog posts about it, because it's a very visual site, and instead of typing that whole sentence into Pinterest, you could type in furniture arrangement, living room, fireplace, and you would probably get a lot of pins that maybe you direct to a blog post, or they have different layout ideas, visual layout ideas, things like that. So those are some of the types of things that you can use when you're looking for supplementary content. You can see what people are searching for, see what kind of content's out there, and then decide, hey, there's enough content on this that people are searching for me to make a board about it. You can use any combination of keyword terms to create your board titles and to use in your other SEO checkpoints, but you want to make sure they make sense. So for instance, when I was talking before about like the furniture arrangement, living room, fireplace, you wouldn't use that as a board title, even though all the keyword terms are there. You might use something like living room furniture arrangements or living room furniture layout. And then you might use the word fireplace somewhere in the description to kind of bring that keyword into your SEO. For other examples, you wouldn't just title a board nightstands as bad SEO because it's one word, it's not a long tail keyword, and it's just too general. You also wouldn't want to use something like red nightstands. While granted we have two words here and that helps narrow down or bulk up that SEO, it's too limiting at this point because you were just going to limit your board to, if you're using it as a board title, you're going to limit your board to just things that are red, just nightstands that are red. And you want to open it up to something that's a little broader when you're thinking of your title. Red nightstands would be maybe a good SEO keyword phrase to use in your description when you're talking about what types of nightstands are on this board. You might say there's, vintage nightstands, red nightstands, ornate nightstands, shabby chic nightstands. Those are all keywords that you could use to further refine the board title and help bring those people that are searching for those more specific types to you. But you wouldn't want to use something that's too limiting like that as a board title. Those are better for board descriptions. Also, poor SEO would be something like vintage nightstands bedroom. And again, because the word order doesn't make sense. It would work for searches, but it aesthetically doesn't look right. And it's not proper English. So you want to make sure your word order makes sense. So you could say bedroom vintage nightstands, and that's perfectly okay. That's a fine board title because it's a long tail keyword It's not too limiting because you can have all kinds of different vintage nightstands. I imagine that there's all kinds of different styles, all kinds of different colors, all kinds of different finishes. And nightstands typically, in my opinion, go in the bedroom. So you may argue that bedroom is an unnecessary keyword, but if you want to make the distinction between bedroom vintage nightstands and nightstands that may possibly go somewhere else in your home, you're welcome to do that. Okay, something else with SEO is sometimes punctuation matters. For Pinterest, it doesn't. I'm not going to get into where it matters because I'm not sure when it might matter on other places on the internet. This is not an SEO for all internet lesson. This is SEO for Pinterest. So for Pinterest, punctuation does not matter. It will not hurt your search results. So thus you could have a couple different formats. You could have bedroom vintage nightstands all, together with no punctuation, or you could add some punctuation after bedroom. And that would be good, like if you have a series of bedroom boards. So if you were doing bedroom comforter sets or bedroom wall decor or bedroom paint colors, and vintage nightstands happens to be part of your series of bedroom boards, that would be okay to add a little punctuation after the word bedroom. But I would recommend sticking with the colon or the vertical line, typically because dashes and slashes and those little sideways caret things, they look poor aesthetically. And I don't mean to sound, patronizing or hear anything, but aesthetics, the look and feel of your Pinterest is very, very important. So when I say something looks poor aesthetically, I mean that it makes it look messy. And we're really looking for something that's more professional and pulled together, especially when we're talking about Pinterest for business, which we are. For aesthetics, you always want to be consistent with your punctuation. So if you're using punctuation at all, you want to use the same punctuation all the time. You don't want to use colons for some series and vertical lines for others. Absolutely don't use emojis like little hearts or smileys or anything like that. And remember that simpler is better. But as far as your search results, punctuation is not going to hurt you. But if you're going to use it, as if you have a series of boards like I talked about, it's better to be consistent and to use something simple and clean. All right. Rich pins are another thing that can help your SEO. We talked about them a little bit in the first part of the series. Mostly that they exist, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit more information about what rich pins are. They have extra information embedded in the pin via coding, meaning that the pin itself carries some text and some information that can't be removed by another Pinterest user. So there's 4 types of these pins, and currently that's product, article, recipe, and apps. They used to have movies and places, but those have been discontinued as of this month, in January 2017. These rich pins, you'll know that they're rich pins because they have a bold text before the description. Sometimes they have price tags. Sometimes they have, if it's a recipe, it might have the ingredients at the bottom. They just have additional information embedded into the pin. They integrate with standalone websites, so you can use rich pins if you have a WordPress hosted website. You can use rich pins if you have Shopify. If you are going to use rich pins with a standalone website, it is a little bit technical. It requires a little bit of know-how to add and where to add this block of code and what parts of this code to edit to get the information that you want embedded onto this pin actually added. So if you aren't familiar with code or changing code, or you can't even really read it, I would recommend that you have a website designer. If you have somebody that designed your website, or you have a website developer, or anybody that can work with code, that you have somebody help you do that, because it is a little bit technical. And if you don't get it right, then Pinterest won't verify your pin and it won't work. It'll be broken. So you do actually, when you first start with rich pins, Pinterest has to verify that you have it set up right, and then it will allow you to continue using rich pins on your site. You don't have to verify every single time. You just have to verify the first time you set it up, because they want to make sure that you have the code set up right. And they figure if you set it up right the first time, then you know how to do it from then on. Shopify integration is much easier. There is actually one of these links below where it says helpful links. That very first one has the steps for how to get rich pins on your Shopify products. Super easy. So you would just follow those instructions there. Also, Etsy does integrate with rich pins, and that you don't have to do anything. Directly pinning from the first image of a product listing on Etsy automatically creates a rich pin. So typically, if you go to Etsy and you see a product and you hover over the image, you'll get like a little pin it option. Or if you have the browser pin it button, which everybody should, because I recommended that you install that when you set up your account or switch to business. Excuse me. If you hover over the image and you pin it, typically if you pin the first image, it will automatically create a rich pin. There is sometimes a little bit of a glitch. Sometimes that doesn't work. So if you're pinning your own Etsy images, sometimes I recommend, and it doesn't turn into a rich pin, I recommend giving it a day. Check back the next day. If it hasn't converted to a rich pin, just delete it and try again. Also, sometimes if you try to pin the second, third, fourth, or fifth images, those do not capture the code. So it's typically the first image that is going to create that rich pin for you. You can always upload images from your computer, or you can pin any image, your second, third, fourth, fifth Etsy image, product image, things from Facebook or whatever, but those are not going to be rich pins, which means that they won't have that extra boost for SEO. It's okay. It's okay. Not everything that you pin has to be a rich pin of your own, but if you have the opportunity to use them, it is a nice little boost to getting found in search. There, like I said, there are some helpful links right there. It talks all about how to enable them, the overview, and then specifically how to do product rich pins. I do want to note that in addition to your SEO checkpoints and the keywords that you're using, consistent activity over time is the second biggest factor in getting your pins seen and found in search. So SEO is great, and you can have, awesome SEO, but you can also still not be found in Pinterest Smart Feed or be at the top of search results. And that happens when you're largely inactive, or you're inactive in bursts, or meaning that you pin a whole lot at one point of time of the day and not throughout the day, or you pin today and not for the next 2 days, and then again on the third or fourth day, and then not again for another week. If you're pinning inconsistently, or you're not pinning enough, that will seriously hurt your account being found on Pinterest and your pins being found on Pinterest. Pinterest, in addition to taking in keyword terms, factors in the number of followers that an account has, how active an account is, because they think that they consider people who have a large amount of followers or are consistently gaining followers and who are putting content out there, new content out there consistently, they consider them to be high quality pinners. They're not going to go through and look at every single account to verify that. They rely sort of on the community to report spammers. And they will flag your account if you have lots and lots of duplicates. They will put you in Pinterest jail if you pin, I think, more than 100 pins per hour. And if you're pinning, sketchy content. But other than that, if you're pinning frequently and you have followers and have activity on your account, then they consider you to be a quality pinner and will put you in the smart feed. If you're not doing that, then they're going to sort of push you down in the feed or in the search results. They put the quality pinners at the top. But SEO does make an impact as well, because it doesn't matter if you're at the top if you're not at the top for the correct keywords. just a note, if you're worried about pinning often or consistently enough, we're going to talk about that in the maintenance, creating a maintenance plan part of this series, which will be at the end of the series once we've kind of touched on all the in-depth things of creating a baseline. We're still talking about creating this baseline right now. We're just talking a little bit more in depth about the SEO part of that. So, don't stress out about how often you're pinning right now, because right now we're worried about building a baseline and making sure all of our foundational blocks are set up. So that is more of a note for the future for maintenance. You don't need to go stress out about pinning, a lot today or while you're getting things set up. I would rather you worry about getting everything set up in your foundational blocks, right before we worry about the consistency and the activity that can come later. I just wanted to make a note about it. Also, scheduling pins makes this super easy, and we're going to talk about that in the maintenance phase. So really, guys, don't stress out about this. All right, so I want to give you guys some, some examples of what this would look like what a typical SEO setup would look like. And so we're going to walk through all of the SEO checkpoints with some examples of, keywords and how you could use them. So for instance, in a biography, you should have 1 to 2 keywords. And so I might put my name because maybe I'm using my business name as my Pinterest account name. So maybe I put my name in my biography just to make it more personal, or people will search for me or whatever. And then I'm going to have a little sentence telling what it is that I do. Remember, in your biography. So I create unique hand-painted furniture from upcycled wooden pallets. I don't actually do that, you all. I'm just trying to make it relevant for you. And then I might put in my link, visit my shop at blah, 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 blah. Remember, you do have a section to add a website link, so you can put a different secondary link in your bio. You could put something like, you might have your main website set at Etsy, and you may have another link in your bio that goes to Facebook, or vice versa. But we can see here that we have a long tail keyword, unique hand-painted furniture, right here, and then another one, upcycled wooden pallets, right here. Oops, sorry. Then, for example, one of my boards might be wood pallet projects. So we're looking at one keyword phrase that's 2 to 4 words in length. This board, this wood pallet projects board description should have 3 to 5 keywords or keyword phrases in the description. So DIY projects to repurpose wood pallets. We have DIY projects, and we have wood pallets. Repurpose could even possibly be a search term. And then, excuse me, choking on my cough drop, guys. And then a common structure. Remember, I said if you can wrap this in a sentence structure, it's great. But lists are okay for board descriptions. So a common structure I use is sort of like an intro sentence that just sort of restates what the board is about. And then I give more specific examples of that. So more specific examples of my DIY projects would be wood pallet home decor, wood pallet furniture, wood pallet signs, and more. It's important to note that, say for instance, this board, because I make, in our example, hand-painted furniture from upcycled wooden pallets, it's okay to have a board where you can, and this is a great strategy, it's a supplementary board because it's other DIY projects for wood pallets. I'm talking about adding supplementary content for wood pallet home decor and wood pallet sides, but I'm also sneaking my wood pallet furniture onto that board. And that's a good strategy, to have a supplementary content board where you can actually add your own products or projects and products onto that board as well. You don't have to do that for every supplementary board, but the more boards you can get your content onto, the better, just because it increases your chances of having your content seen and found. Okay. So then moving on, this board that we're talking about could go in the category of DIY and crafts. You could also use home decor. And that's sort of a judgment call. For me, I would probably put this board in DIY and crafts because the focus, scroll back up here for a second, the focus in the description I said was DIY projects, and I'm sort of focusing on all kinds of wood palette projects, not just my products. If I was focusing just on my products on this board, and wasn't including other wood palette projects that may possibly not be home decor, then I would just put it in the home decor category. But if you're going to include other projects that possibly aren't home decor or could be used for other things, then put it in DIY and crafts. So it's sort of a judgment call sometimes which category you use. I wouldn't stress over it too much. Just make sure it's relevant. The category is probably the SEO point I would stress over the least, as long as it is a relevant category. And then for a couple pin descriptions, I actually did pull these pin descriptions from Pinterest. I actually ran a search on Pinterest for wood palette projects, and I found a couple pins that I liked the descriptions on. The second one I kind of shortened and did change a little bit because the English and was bad, and they had some extra keyword phrases in there that I wouldn't have recommended them use, and it just made more sense to kind of clean it up a little bit for you all. So it was a better example. But anyway, starting here, if we had a couple pins on this board, we might see one that says palette, wood, baby, and pet gate. You can see that there's keyword phrases within this description here. And then they sort of did this punctuation thing with the vertical line and then said clever DIY wood palette projects. So maybe they had, maybe this was a blog post series, and this is one of the pictures in the blog post or in the blog post series where they're covering multiple wood palette projects. And so they said that, and then this is what the specific pin is about. Is the specific pin was highlighting a wooden gate made out of wood pallets. So you do have a lot of freedom with the descriptions. You want to make sure that they're kind of in sentence format. This is not one that I would recommend, that I would say is a list. I would not count this as a list, but it's not necessarily in sentence format either. This would be like the minimal type. This would be the minimal way to use a pin description. I wouldn't create a pin description that's any less descriptive than this one. I'm not sure how else to say that, but this one is like the fewest words you could possibly use or that I would recommend that you use to make a description. I'm not talking about the number of words specifically. I'm just talking about the way that it's formatted. It's very not fancy, stripped down, no extra fluff and, that casual conversational thing that I recommend isn't in here, but it's still good for SEO. It's still a good description as far as SEO goes. Okay. So the second one, a custom-built multi-purpose wood palette upcycled shelf. That's a lot of keywords right there in a list. You might take out some of those and shorten that down. I left them just for the example. They then went on to say this wood palette shelf could be the focal point of your living room decor. So they sort of did the same thing that I would do with like a board description here, with having all their keywords up front, and then went on to do a sentence. They did make it sort of conversational and casual, and it's up to you all, and you're going to have to figure out your business tone and how you want to structure your descriptions. But I would recommend that you sort of have a script or an outline, a template, I guess, if you will, for how you would do your descriptions. So if you want to do them always something like this or always something like the first one, that's fine. But just, it makes it easier if you can sort of stick to a specific pattern or specific template. But this is fine. It does have, enough keywords in it, and it is conversational and casual. The last one is the one I like the most. It's short and sweet. It doesn't have a lot of commas and listy type keywords in it. Rustic wood palette sign with galvanized metal letters above the baby's crib. It's describing what I saw on the pin, and it has the 3 to 5 keyword phrases in it. This is the one I like the most. It's It's easy to read, it's simple, and it's casual, and it's in a sentence structure. All right, so this is a quick segment here where we're pretty much done. That's a lot of information to cover, I know, at once, but I think once you get in and start digging into Pinterest and using the search bar and doing your brainstorming activities, I think that it will really make a lot more sense to you. So I just wanted to finish it up with saying by pulling it all together, that list of board topics that I had you all create after the first segment of this series. If you did that, or if you haven't done it yet, please go and do that, because it's really going to help you plan, and it's going to help you with your SEO. But I want you to take that list, and I want you to go sit at your computer with Pinterest open. And you should type each of your ideas into the Pinterest search bar. Maybe your ideas, I said before, just get them out. They don't have to be perfect phrases or anything like that. But go type those ideas into the Pinterest search bar one by one. So if you had an idea for a board, like the bedroom nightstands or the bedroom paint colors, go start typing those things in and see what kind of searches up or pops up as a search suggestion. Or you can hit enter and see what kind of filters pop up. And if it does pop up as a search suggestion, or you see the words that you can string together out of those filters that we talked about, feel free to use that keyword phrase in your titles or board descriptions. Just remember what we talked about as far as word order and proper English, and making sure that it's not too limiting, and all those things that we talked about earlier. If it doesn't pop up as a search suggestion, if like one of your ideas didn't pop up, see what else pops up and see if you can tweak your idea into a better search-friendly keyword phrase. Or you can always hit search and use the filters to help better define your keyword terms. It might be there, they just might be using a different term. People might be using a different word. For instance, I had a client that I did a search for, or was setting up some Pinterest for, and she makes cruelty-free vegan makeup. Well, one of her boards, I wanted to make it all of her products, and I wanted to make it search-friendly, so I was debating between using cruelty-free makeup or vegan makeup, natural vegan makeup. I couldn't decide which keyword phrases to use, so I went to the search bar to see what people were searching for. Oddly enough, or I guess maybe not terribly oddly, but both of those phrases are being searched for commonly. So if you can't decide between an SEO phrase, and you're like, which one are people searching for most? Ask your audience, ask your market. If you have a Facebook page or your customers or whatever, be like, hey, if you were on Pinterest searching for this, what would you search for? What are the words you would type in? That's really great. That's really great market research. It's also a really engaging post to make on social media. I'm not here to educate you all about how to run other social media platforms, but that would be a really, really good engaging post to get people talking and giving you feedback. And it's okay to do that. And doing that market research, or just typing things into the Pinterest search bar, you'll probably find that it's going to help you find new ideas for board topics, which you can use either in your baseline or down the road. All right, so that's it for this section. I don't really have homework other than I want you guys to go start trying to figure out your SEO, and filling those, if you've created boards on Pinterest, filling those titles in, trying to tweak those titles into better search-friendly phrases, and adding your descriptions. If you want to start pinning to your boards, that's fine. But we will be talking next week about the perfect pin, what kind of pins to make for your products, what kind of pins to pin onto your boards. So if you wanna go ahead and start getting your SEO, your board descriptions and titles set up, that's fine. If you want to start pinning to some of those boards, that's fine. But we're going to talk again, like I said, next week more about the good quality pins. I hope you all got some good, useful information out of this, and there is a live Q&A in the group. If you are watching this For the first time in 2017, there's a live Q&A right after this at 11 a.m., I believe. So we'll catch you all there. Thanks. Bye.